Okay, so you know that feeling, right? The incredible excitement of getting a brand new graphics card. You've been waiting for this, but then you install it, the lights come on, the fans start spinning, and you get absolutely nothing on your screen. It is a PC builder's worst nightmare, and today we're going to solve it.
And this quote right here from a user on Reddit, this just says it all. You can't install the software for a piece of hardware that your computer doesn't even see. It's like a ghost in the machine, and we are going to figure out how to bust this ghost.
So yeah, we're calling this the Phantom GPU problem. It's a graphics card that is clearly getting power. You can see the lights, you can hear the fans, but as far as your system is concerned, it doesn't exist. It's invisible to your BIOS, invisible to Windows. It's there, but it's not.
Okay, so to fix this, we need to be methodical. You can't just start unplugging things randomly. We're going to break it down into 3 key areas. First up, compatibility and power. This is the homework you really should do before you even buy the card. Then we'll get into the physical installation itself. And finally, we'll tackle the software and drivers, which is often overlooked but is absolutely critical.
You know, the best way to fix a problem is to prevent it from ever happening in the first place. So let's go over the essential checks you need to make before that shiny new GPU even shows up at your door.
And that brings us to the biggest, most fundamental question of all. Can your current PC, your current setup, actually handle this new piece of hardware? It is so easy to get caught up in the excitement and just forget the basics.
Now, these checks might seem really basic, but trust me, they are the most common points of failure. First, your power supply wattage. If your card is starved for power, it's either going to be unstable or it just won't show up at all. Second, the connectors themselves. Does your power supply actually have the right 6-pin or 8-pin plugs you need? And finally, just physical space. Modern GPUs are massive. You got to make sure the thing will actually fit inside your case with enough room to breathe. And here's a huge pro tip when it comes to power. For these beefy new cards that have multiple power inputs, do not use a single daisy-chained cable. You know, the ones with 2 plugs on the end? Don't do it. Instead, run a separate, dedicated cable from your power supply to each and every input on the graphics card. This makes sure it gets stable, consistent power, and it prevents a whole world of problems.
All right, pre-flight check is done. Now let's move on to the hands-on part, getting that new card physically and correctly seated in your motherboard. This is where one tiny mistake can cause a massive headache.
First things first, safety. Before you even think about touching a component, power this system all the way down. I don't mean just shutting down Windows. Go to the back of your PC, flip that physical switch on your power supply to off, and then, just to be extra safe, unplug the whole thing from the wall. Now you're clear to take the side panel off. Okay, time for the swap. So you've unplugged the power from the old card, you've unscrewed it from the bracket, now we get to the most critical physical step. You see that little plastic tab at the very end of the long PCIe slot on your motherboard? You have to press that down. That's the lock. If you just try to yank the card out, you are going to have a very, very bad day and a broken motherboard. Press that latch, the card releases, and then you can gently pull it out. When you put the new one in, just line it up and press down firmly until you hear that satisfying click of the latch locking back into place. Then you can screw it in and plug it in.
Okay, the hardware is installed. We're getting close. Now it's time to tackle the software side of things. And believe me, the secret to success here is starting with a perfectly clean slate. You can't just install new drivers on top of old ones and expect it to work.
And the tool for this job is called Display Driver Uninstaller, or DDU for short. Think of this thing as a power washer for your system. It doesn't just uninstall the driver, it goes on a mission to hunt down and completely eliminate every leftover file, every registry key, every single trace of your old driver so there is absolutely nothing left to conflict with the new one.
So, the process starts with a little bit of prep. Before you do anything else, go online and download 2 things: the latest driver for your new card and the DDU program itself. Put both of them right on your desktop. Then, and this is super important, completely disconnect your computer from the internet. Unplug the Ethernet cable, turn off the Wi-Fi, whatever it takes. This stops Windows from trying to help by automatically installing its own drivers in the background. Next up, we need to restart in safe mode. It's actually really easy. Just go to your Start menu, type msconfig, hit Enter, go to the Boot tab, and check the box that says Safe Boot. Safe mode is basically a diagnostic mode for Windows where it only loads the absolute essential drivers and nothing else. This gives us the perfect, quiet environment for DDU to work its magic without anything interfering.
And I really cannot stress this enough.
This combination, being in safe mode while also being disconnected from the internet, is what makes this entire process work. It completely isolates your system, puts you in full control, and prevents Windows from undoing all of your hard work behind your back.
So once you reboot and you're in safe mode, it's time to run DDU. The interface is simple. Just select GPU, choose the manufacturer of the old drivers you want to get rid of, like NVIDIA or AMD, and click the big button that says Clean and Restart. Your computer will do its thing and reboot back into normal Windows. And because you're still offline, now is the time to run that new driver installer you downloaded earlier. It will install onto a perfectly clean system, no conflicts, no problems.
But what if you've done everything by the book? You followed every single step perfectly, and your Phantom GPU is still a Phantom. Well, let's look at some of the less conventional fixes that people find out in the wild on community forums. And this is where things can get kind of weird. Reddit is just full of these stories. One person found out the whole problem was a bad stick of RAM. How is that even possible? Well, faulty memory can create all sorts of instability across your whole system, preventing other parts like the GPU from starting up correctly. Other fixes are simpler, like just taking the GPU out and putting it back in again, or trying a different power cable. It just goes to show how interconnected and, honestly, how finicky these machines can be.
In all of this troubleshooting, all these steps, it kind of leads to a bigger question, doesn't it? We've just seen how swapping one single component can mean checking your power supply, your case dimensions, motherboard latches, doing a software deep clean, and maybe even troubleshooting your RAM. So, as our PCs get more and more powerful and complex, are we moving past the era where a simple plug-and-play upgrade is the norm? It's definitely something to think about.